Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are joining us from in the world. Hello. How wonderful to see so many of you with us live. Gosh, what a thrill, and thank you so much. I can't believe that this is show number 24. That is 6 months of shows that my living room has been in your homes for the last 6 months. So before we kick off, I just wanted to say a huge, huge thank you to everyone for embracing the show, embracing the idea, for really getting involved, the incredible artwork that you've sent in, the songs, the music, the theme song, so much. Everything comes from you guys. So thank you so much. Now, tonight's guest, I know quite a bit about her. And when you guys suggested that I be the final guest, which was really flattering and lovely, I thought, how does one interview oneself? It's a bit tricky. So, Suanne, where were you born? Well, I don't know. I was born, I don't know. It just wasn't going to work. But I needn't have worried because, of course, she's not called the Grand Empress of Sci-Fi for nothing. She is a true mensch, the most wonderful human being, inside and out. Beautiful, talented, gorgeous, and generous in the extreme. Of course, I'm talking about the incredible Amanda Tapping. So I want you guys to put your hands together for a huge virtual thunderous clap. Let's go. I want to hear you from here as we welcome the fantastic and glorious Amanda Tapping. Woo!
Hello.
Firstly, thank you so very, very, very much for doing this and for helping us out, or me out.
Oh my gosh, it's such a pleasure. And I have to say, congratulations. What you've done is so fantastic, bringing all these Stargate actors together, bringing the fans back together. And it all started with your idea of let's try to get through COVID together. And you've like reunited the community. It's so wonderful. Congratulations and thank you.
Well, thank you. Coming from you, all right, I'm done. Stick a fork in me, I'm done. Bye. So you are back at work, I believe, right?
I am. I'm the producing director on a TV series called Motherland Fort Salem. It's their second season. We're supposed to go to camera on Tuesday, so let's see. And I'll be directing the first two and then producing the rest of the season.
How exciting. Well, we wish you all the very, very best of luck. I know everyone is dying to see some new work. And hopefully this is a mood that we all sort of starting to go back to normal and, you know, a slightly more normal life.
Here's hoping. Yeah.
Otherwise, you're stuck with me for the next 15 years. I know.
Not a bad thing.
So, I am basically in your hands and ready to start whenever you are.
Yeah, you are in my hands. And holy, be ready, lady. Let's just start with what an astounding career you have had, my friend. Everything from television to film to stage to hosting. I really want to talk about your travel series. You've done it all, and musical theater and comedy, and you're quite the well-rounded little multiple threat performer, Missy.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
I want to start at the very beginning, because I've always thought of you as South African, but is that where you were born?
It is indeed. I was born in Johannesburg, and then eventually my family moved to Cape Town, where they still reside just outside of Cape Town. But yeah, born in South Africa, born and raised.
Nice. And do you still speak Afrikaans? Because I know that you did. Do you still speak Afrikaans?
I do. I went to an Afrikaans primary school. My parents felt it was really important for me to be bilingual, which was interesting at the time because lots of people were not doing that.
Yeah.
But I went to an Afrikaans primary school, and there's something about learning a language when you're little, and it just always stays with you. I'm not sure how useful it is here in England, but you know, yes, I still speak it fluently. Although I think if I was cast in something tomorrow that was Afrikaans, I would have to gussy up my Afrikaans. It's not as good as it used to be.
Wow, but it's an amazing skill set to have because you do go back to South Africa quite often.
I do. In fact, I was just saying. Sorry.
No, go.
I was just saying today actually is the first time, because the last time I was there was in November last year. My mum got a bit sick. She was quite poorly, and I flew out. She's all fine now. And I flew out to be with them. And normally we go December or sort of round about that time. And of course, I couldn't do it this year, or can't do it. And much to my disappointment and horror, England has now been put on the no entry list for South Africa, because the cases here have risen again. So I don't know if I'll get to see my beloved family this year.
Oh no.
Yeah, so that sucks. But thank God we have this, we have computers, we have all sorts of things. So I've just seen a note pop up that people are saying if I can say something in Afrikaans. So yes, sure.
I was going to ask you, but I didn't put you on the spot. Let's hear it.
Okay. Goeienaand almal. Hoe gaan dit? Dis baie lekker om saam met julle te praat. Ek sit hier so in my aandkamer en ek praat met Amanda Tapping. Sy's 'n wonderlike aktrise en ons is hier. Ek is in Londen, sy is in Canada. En so ja, ek praat so 'n bietjie Afrikaans.
Wow. Right.
Yeah, basically I said, Amanda Tapping, I just said, here we are chatting. You're an amazing actress. I'm in London. You're in Canada. It's very much like Dutch, actually, and weirdly Flemish. Yeah. Oh. And yes, I was watching a Belgian series the other night, and I was like, "What? I understand." It's very similar to Flemish.
Oh, interesting.
Look like my hands are coming up over.
Oh yeah, so all these comments. This is really cool that we can see the comments. Okay, we're going to get into your career though, because you was your family artistic at all?
I mean, they are creative. My dad played jazz piano when he was younger, but he wasn't a professional musician. He went into motor cars and worked for Mercedes-Benz for years, and then eventually launched his own company. And my mum is incredibly creative. She paints and she sews. She's really talented. But again, I'd say much more creative than artistic, in the sense that there wasn't this like, oh, we have to go to the theatre. Oh, we have to do that. But certainly an appreciation for theatre and music. I mean, I was sort of raised on Billie Holiday and Ella Fitzgerald and, great jazz staples.
Yeah. That's very cool. So where did your love of performing come from? I mean, from that, obviously you had a creative background, but was there sort of an aha moment where you went, this is what I've got to do with my life?
I think, yes, there was an aha moment. And I don't know where it came from, this desire, but it has been with me from the time, as long as I can remember. And my mom tells a story of when I must have been I couldn't speak yet, so I could toddle. And I was so how old is that? Like 2 years, when you can't really speak properly, but you can. Yeah. And our family went on holiday, on a summer holiday, and my mum fell asleep on the beach and woke up and I wasn't there. And of course, like all mothers, was like, oh, my child is dead, and was running down the beach. And she said she saw this crowd of people looking down, and she thought, oh my God, my child is drowned. Sort of pushed her way into the crowd, and there was me playing a game where I was playing all the characters in this sort of gibberish where I was like, whatever, entertaining everyone. And they were all laughing, and she was completely like, what? So I don't remember that. But the moment I remember is my parents took me to see The Sound of Music. And at interval, I said to my mum, what are those children doing? Like, what is that? And she said, oh, what do you mean? And I said, well, they're not Captain Von Trapp's children. What are they doing? And she said, oh, that's called acting. And I went, that's what I'm going to do when I grow up. Like, I remember that. I was like, that's why. And it's never changed. So
that's awesome.
Here we are.
And your first professional production, you were in Annie.
I was.
And
yes.
What part were you in Annie? Tell us.
I played the crybaby Cassie, who I think sort of has to come in with something about Miss Hannigan, somebody, Molly just threw up on your cushion or something.
How old were you?
I was 10 years old. And it was extraordinary because my parents, I was sort of raised, I have two half brothers, but they're quite a lot older than I am. And so they didn't really live with me when I was growing up. So I was raised pretty much as an only child. And my poor mum had to sort of say goodbye to me for a year as we toured around the country. And I think that was, yeah, brutal for her, because there was this sort of 10-year-old kid and the only one in the entire company in an Afrikaans school. So my schooling completely fell apart because this went to shit because nobody taught me for a year. And I was like, woohoo!
And you toured at the age of 10 around Africa.
Yeah, well, not around South Africa.
Around
so
South
we did
Africa.
a very long tour for a year because the show was a massive hit. And that was extraordinary. But I think for my mum, she kind of, after that, she was like, you know what? No more touring things, no more acting until you finish high school. And if you still want to do it, then you can do it. I think it was too brutal for her. And also, I think actually I was too young. You know, I'm really glad they did that.
Yeah.
So
it's a long time away. Well,
yeah.
So eventually you finished high school and then you went on to drama school in Cape Town. And how was that?
I did. I hated it. It was a really miserable experience for me. I went to
sorry, I mean to bring it
up. No. It's really good to talk about this. And in fact, it's been a recurring theme on this show, how many actors have gone to drama school. And I realize now, of course, I was just too young. I was far too inexperienced. I was quite protected, I think, because I was an only child. And I thought, I was like, I'm going to go to drama school and then I'm going to be on Broadway. Like, that's how easy it's going to be. And of course, you know, I went to this drama school where everybody was like walking around in black and like getting in touch with their inner demons, and you know, everybody was terribly tortured, and it was all like, oh God, it's all so hard, and I just was completely overwhelmed. So I left after 11 months. And my father was furious because, of course, they paid for all my books and everything. And he said to me, well, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I still want to act. I just don't want to be there. And so I did. I carried on acting, and so I got a job.
You got a film called Murphy's Fault. That was your first real film, right?
Well, yes. Let's use the word real lightly. It's very funny because I found a copy of it 2 days ago. Somebody had called me and we'd talked about it. And I was like, I went onto YouTube and I was like, I wonder if this, because I've never seen it. I wish I hadn't seen it, no. But it is hilarious because I have a mullet.
Your hair in the film is fantastic. It really is.
Yeah.
It's sort of like a little foreshadowing of working with Richard Dean Anderson, who used to have a mullet when he was MacGyver. You looked like MacGyver's sister in the film, if I can say that.
Well, there you go. Rick, if you're watching, honey, anytime. We can mullet together. Mullet over. But yeah, I mean, so what was amazing about that was that I kind of went in and I was going to be an extra or supporting artist on it. And they plucked me from the crowd. And the casting director, who's an amazing South African casting director, had remembered from something else that I'd done that I could do an American accent. And so she said to me, well, I'd like you to come in and read for this. And that was that. It was all very, very quick. And suddenly I was in this film and doing it. And I'm so grateful for it because I learned so much, as you well know. You know exactly what it's like when you're young and like people are talking to you. And I was like, I didn't know what focus pulling was, or I mean, I was
my mark.
Yeah.
What and color
exactly. And somebody coming up to me going, do you want a sausage? And I was like, what? Which for anyone watching, the things that they put on the ground, if it's a really close shot so that the actor doesn't look down to hit it, so there's something on your feet that you can feel. Anyway, mullets rule. Yes.
After that, you starred in an amazing show, a musical theater show called Nonsense, and that was a huge hit, and especially a huge hit in South Africa for you for like 2 years. It was one of the biggest shows in South Africa.
Yeah.
And you did it for the whole 2 years?
I did.
Wow.
I did. the amazing thing about Nonsense, it's an American play. It's a fantastic. It started off Broadway, and I think it's still going. It's written by a guy called Dan Goggin, and he's written about 6 or 7 different incarnations. They've now got all the brothers and the sisters of the sisters. But basically, it's set in a convent with a group of nuns who've accidentally poisoned all the nuns in the convent. And they've managed to bury them, but they don't have the money for the last 5. So they've stuck them in the freezer. There's a fantastic song where they sing, "We got to clean out the freezer by tomorrow morning, because the Jersey Board of Health has sent the final warning." Anyway, and it's great. It's very tongue-in-cheek. It's not disrespectful, but it's really fun.
Yeah.
And for some reason, South Africans, which was rare in South Africa for a show to run, even today, for that length of time. The irony is I played the novice, which was right. I was young enough to play it, but she was a character who wanted to be a ballerina. She couldn't decide if she wanted to be a ballerina or a nun. And I lied at the audition and said, they were like, "Can you dance on point?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah. And then I got the job, and they found out I couldn't do it, and I was nearly fired. And I pleaded and begged and said, "I will learn." And the guy was like, "You can't learn to dance on point in 5 weeks." And I said, "I'll learn."
Oh, yes,
I will learn. Well, I tell you, I think my feet have never been the same since, because for 2 years, every night, I got up on point. I mean, she wasn't meant to be terribly good, thankfully, but I burrowed my way across the stage every night in my little dying nun swan routine. Yeah, but again, amazing woman. So great to work in such a strong company. Everyone talented. We're still all friends today.
Oh,
amazing.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And then you left musical theater and went on to television like almost right away. You auditioned for a TV station called Mnet. Is that right?
That is right. Very good.
You became like quite the celeb because of that. You were like a household name in South Africa because of that. So what was that like?
Well, Mnet, again, was one of those weird things. So I'd left drama school, and then I got into Nonsense. And I had done an audition for another TV show where they were looking for bilingual presenters. And I'd never seen myself on film. So I went off to audition, and I was all kind of, "Oh, yes, I can do this." And they had these enormous TV monitors at the top of the studio. And I looked up, and I got the giggles, because I was like, "Oh, my God, I've got such a funny face." So the more I tried not to laugh, the worse it got. And eventually the guy came to me and he was like, you've got to stop laughing. I was like, "Absolutely." And anyway, long story short, I couldn't get it together. And I left that. And then I got in my car and I thought, I've really blown that. Like, that was a major opportunity. And there was me literally going,
you wiggled your way through it.
Yeah, completely. So about 4 or 5 weeks later, Mnet, they put an ad in the newspaper saying they were looking for bilingual presenters, for continuity presenters. I was like, I didn't even know what that meant, but I was like, I'm going to go and see what that is. And basically, in the old days, they used to have people, they still do it in the UK, but now it's just voiceover. But it's the person who guides you to the next program. So the credits will be rolling, and they'll do the coming up in 5 minutes. It is another episode of Stargate SG-1. This week, the team find themselves stranded on a unique, whatever. So it was that. And then because Mnet was the first independent television station in South Africa, it was big news. And they really groomed all the presenters that they had. And I was bilingual, which was helpful. And of course, it sounds so naive, but the next thing you know, you're like being beamed into people's homes 5 nights a week. Of course, you're going to become well known. And so suddenly I was like everywhere, on magazine covers and in other shows. And I think to the point where they're still, I mean, I haven't lived in South Africa for 30 years or more. And there are still times when I go back and I'll be buying something and somebody will look at me and go, "I recognize that face. You're that lady from Mnet. You are Suanne Braun from Mnet. I remember you." Still. So it was amazing.
That's hilarious. I remember you. But you, okay, so you and I have talked briefly about this, and you've posted some things on your Instagram about this, but you hosted this series. You went on to host, and you hosted this series called Bon Voyage for 5 years, and you like got to travel and go to luxury 5-star hotels and travel everywhere. Like you, it's like a dream job for any human. How was that?
Yeah, it was nuts and unbelievable. And I wish, if I have one regret, it's that I wish, because I was 22. So I was like, what do I know? You know, I was like, we're staying in the George Sank. We're staying at the Cipriani. You know, if it's Tuesday, it must be Belgium. And of course, it was like, you know, the most phenomenal, incredible experience, because we were a tiny crew, 5 people. There was no teleprompter. So I had these long links to camera. And often, like when we were filming on the Orient Express, the director was like, right, we want you on the platform at sunset. That's one shot. The train comes in, it releases all the steam. I want to get the shot through the kind of mist of the steam of the train and the glamour. You have to walk down the platform, and all this is to camera. And it would be like an A4 page of dialogue. So of course you don't realize at the time when you're doing stuff, but it was the best training in the world, because I learned really fast to retain huge chunks of information. I learned how to handle stuff when things go wrong on camera, when you're out in the street and somebody walks through your shot, or, you know, somebody starts screaming behind you, how to deal with it.
Yeah.
And I got to travel to places that I may never get to go back to. You know, now as a much older woman, I'm like, damn, I'd love to do it now.
Yes.
You know? Oh, now I'm like, I watch Richard E. Grant on his, you know, luxury hotels of the world. I'm like, let me join you, Richard.
I know how to do this. What was your favorite place that you went to? What was your favorite experience?
Oh my goodness, they were all so different. You know, like at the time, I didn't know about big cities. Oh, she's disappeared. Come back. Oh, you're back. Yeah, I didn't really know about big cities. So New York was unbelievably exciting for me. But I'd say probably the most unique one was we ended up going to a place just off Ghana in the Gulf of Guinea called the Bom Bom Islands. And they hadn't even opened yet. And we went to a resort before the resort opened and had this extraordinary, unbelievable, a bit like the Maldives on crack. I mean, it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. And of course, you know, I look back now at the pictures and the footage, and I was like, I don't think any of us we were just there doing a job, you know. And of course you enjoy it and you go out and you have laughs. Like, I had never seen snow. And we went to Austria, and they were really sweet. They kind of blindfolded me as we went up the cable car, and then they got out and filmed as I got out and saw all the snow, because I came from Africa. I'd never seen snow. So amazing memories.
I think that's incredible. I would love to have done that. Oh my gosh, I have lists here of the things that you've done. So after that, you continue to act. You starred in shows The Big Time and the Afrikaan series Konings, which I know means kings.
You're very good. I have to say, I'm very, very impressed.
Really that good.
You are.
But you acted in the Afrikaan series. You acted in Afrikaans. Was that, you know? I know you speak it, but I know when I speak French, I have to translate it into English in my head before I say it, so that I'm just not that comfortable with the language as comfortable as I should be. So was it hard for you? Did you have to sort of think of it in English and then, or is it just second nature to you?
It was then, you know, that was a long time ago. And it was an amazing series, a real epic about a family that I started the series with the characters, I think 17, and I think I ended up playing a 50-year-old, which was comedy, because I was basically about 24 at the time. But anyway, but I didn't find that difficult. But I have acted in French before, and I found that really tricky, because I was so worried about getting, and I was constantly like, and the more comfortable I got, the other actors would speak really fast. And then every now and then I'd miss the cue and be like, shit, did he say it already? What?
What?
Yeah. What? Huh?
Now, you, on your Instagram, there's some photos of you that are just like a model. Did you model? Were you a model?
Yeah.
As well as being an actor and a presenter and all that? It seems to make sense that you would, because you're gorgeous, but was that part of
Thank you.
the whole career too?
No, I never wanted to model. Never, never, never. I was always told, even when I was teeny, tiny, they were like, you could lose 15 pounds, you could lose 20 pounds. And I was like, you know what? I like to eat. And I think modeling is very different now, but I found it so prohibitive. Like I think in high school, I won a competition and they were like, you can get a modeling contract or go on a cruise ship. And I was like, I'm taking the cruise.
Yeah. I'll take box A. Well,
exactly.
So when I was 15, I was recruited by a modeling agency and I was 5'9". I think I was like 125 pounds and they asked me to lose weight. And I went, well, 15. I just didn't have the confidence either. So, but yeah.
I don't think I did either, actually, with modeling. I always knew, I was like, I can make people laugh, or I can do this thing, I can act. And I used to get really annoyed at modeling. Like, I think I did about 4 modeling castings. And they were literally like, stand there, show us your hands, face, body shot, out. And I was like, what? Sorry, is no one going to talk to me? I hated that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was like, nah, never modeled.
Okay. You just have modeling shots where you look beautiful.
Well, because I was well known, so they stuck me on magazine covers and things like that. So it was sort of, I guess, through that. The same, Cliff Simon had the same thing, and also Natalie Bolt. All the South Africans, we get put on all the magazine covers.
On the magazine. So let's go to, oh my gosh, we have so much to cover, but let's go to 1993. You're famous in South Africa. Yeah. You decide to up and leave and throw your hat into the ring of Los Angeles. Yeah. I mean, why not? But all of a sudden you just went, okay, enough of this. Time to see what else is out there.
Well, yes and no. I'd always wanted to make films. And from the time I was a little girl, I was like, I want to go to Hollywood. And I got to a point in South Africa where I was overexposed. People recognized me as a presenter. They didn't really see me, I think, as an actor. And I decided, funny enough, I thought I'll come to London, New York. I'll go to London, New York, and LA. And I came to London, and it rained for the entire time I was here. And I thought, I'll never live here. And then I went to New York, and I had a great time. And when I was in New York, there was a South African director who was working in LA, and he introduced me to someone. And it was so easy to get into the country. I got a green card really fast. I was signed by Endeavor, William Morris then, now they're Endeavor, like super quickly. And then I didn't work for nearly a year. I went on audition after audition after audition. And I had to learn that Los Angeles is all about people going, oh my God, you're so awesome. I love her. She is so funny. She is so funny, so charming, and so versatile. She can do. I love her. She's yes, love her.
American accent, and she's from South Africa.
And then I'd say to my agent, "That's amazing. They love me." And they're like, "Yeah, they're passing." I'd be like, well, "Why?" And he's like, "Well," I was like, "But they loved me. They told you they loved me, right?" He's like, "Yeah, they're passing." And
wow,
of course, I had no idea. I was used to people telling me the truth, or semi-truth, I think, because I don't know in our industry if they're ever that truthful. Yeah. But so it was a brutal awakening because I was all alone, halfway across the world from my family, pre-internet. So like once a week, a fax machine, a fax would shudder out of the machine, and I'd sit and read letters from my family crying into my chicken. I'd be like, oh, I want to go home.
Yeah. And it can be a very lonely city if you don't, especially without family. But you eventually
Exactly.
got work in Los Angeles. You did a show called Silk Stockings, which I actually think that Martin Wood may have directed some episodes of that way back then. I'm not sure.
Really?
Yeah, something makes me think that might be true. Might be, might not be, but it might be.
Let's say it is.
So that's your first gig in LA.
Yeah, I mean, I had tested for just about everything, and at the time, Oliver Stone was doing Evita, and I went in and I got really close to Evita, and then he pulled out of the project, and a little lesser known actress called Madonna got the part. I wonder whatever happened to her.
Oh, no. Yeah, no, I don't.
Not ringing any bells. Yeah. So I was like the queen of guest starring roles. I would often go in and it'd be like one guest star, and I was like desperate to get like, you know, a little recurring role going.
And yeah, because you did Wings, you did Prowler, you did a whole bunch of guest star roles. And exactly. Then how is it, this little piece of information, how did you get to present at the 68th Annual Academy Awards? How did that happen?
Oh, yes. Woo!
That's pretty exciting. And then, so you were there at the Oscars. You obviously did the whole thing.
I was. That was absolutely insane. And how I got that was a director that I'd worked with in South Africa was in LA doing business for something else. And at the time, I was doing a lot of little inserts for a Singaporean television company, which it's so convoluted. Anyway, it was through them, through contacts that I had. And the next thing they were like, will you host the Oscars? Will you be like on the red carpet with us and be the South African and the kind of Singapore representative? So we were allowed inside the building, but I didn't do anything on stage. It was all the red carpet stuff live and everybody arriving.
They're coming through, right?
Yes.
Who was your favorite interview in that crazy experience?
Well, one of the highlights of my life, because I loved Robin Williams with all my heart. And he was quite late to the event, but he came just as everyone. So I have to explain though, with the Oscars, right? So what you see as an audience is you see that long, lush red carpet with a few camera crews like Ryan Seacrest or E and all the American press, right? What you don't see is there's like a grandstand tucked off to the side with the entire world press squashed onto one area. So we had like a Chinese crew behind us standing on my head. She was standing on my head, like hitting me on the head to get the shot. People are shouting over it was absolutely insane. And of course, then on the other side, you've got all the fans who've been there. And so the minute somebody arrives, like I think Brad Pitt was still with Jennifer Aniston at the time. So when they arrived, people went berserk. So to try and concentrate, this is again where Bon Voyage paid off, because I was able to just go, right, you know, focus and go. But Meryl Streep came and chatted to us, which was amazing. But I know. And I was like, exactly. And afterwards I was like, God, I hope that made sense. I don't know what I said to her. And then just as we were packing up, and we were in the second tier, there was a crew in front of us, I think from Belgium or something, and they were getting ready to go. And Robin Williams arrived, and I said to my producer, I was like, I have to talk to him. I have to talk to him. And we were screaming, and his publicist was like, no, Maureen, no. And I went, Robin! I'm from South Africa. And he looked up, and I was like, please come and talk to us. He said to his publicist, I'm going. And he came over. And we had like a very brief chat, and I was like, and so for the rest of my life, I'm like, yeah, that was my highlight, one of the highlights of my life, chatting to Robin Williams.
Yeah. Lovely.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you left the Academy Awards and you auditioned for Star Trek Deep Space Nine. What happened at this audition for the other show, that other sci-fi?
Yeah. That other show. So this was really weird. It was to play a goddess. How weird is this? To play a goddess of some, I think she was for an island or some sort of planet or something. And I went in and I did the read and I got the job. And I was delighted, and the contracts were signed, and they were like, right, you have to go to Paramount for your costume fitting. And when I arrived at Paramount, there was this very sort of camp man swanning around, and I was like, oh, hello, yes, I'm Suanne Braun, I'm here for my costume fitting. And he was like, oh dear, has nobody spoken to you, dear? And I was like, no. And he, oh, wait here. And then he went, like those big costume warehouses where there's like a little office in the middle of the warehouse.
Yeah.
And it had a glass window, and I could see into it. And he was very animatedly talking to somebody else, and she was shaking her head. And finally I went up and I was like, look, what's going on? He went, oh, I don't know how to tell you this. This is just awful. Has your agent not contacted you? But Vanessa Williams is doing the job. I was like, say what now? Yeah, exactly. I was like, huh? And he went, yes. And so they offered it to her months ago, and her agent just wouldn't commit. And last night she said, yes, so you're out, she's in. Sorry. And I was like, and I remember walking to my car, and like cell phones had just sort of arrived. They were those huge ones, I was like, I'll just get my phone out and phone my agent. And I phoned my manager, and I was like, what the hell? I've never been so embarrassed. Anyway, I got the money, but obviously at the time it stung like hell because they'd cast Vanessa Williams.
Okay, but I have to say, personally, I'm thrilled that Vanessa Williams did it, because the following week you auditioned for a little known show called Stargate SG-1.
That's right.
You would have been able to do that had Vanessa Williams not decided at the 11th hour to do the other show. So
isn't that weird? Isn't that weird? I know. And so you never know. I always say to people, you do not know what's around the corner. And yeah, that was my goddess practice. I was
exactly.
warming up.
The goddess warm up.
Yeah.
And then you come to us in lovely Vancouver, British Columbia. And I mean, I very much remember when you were there, but what was it like for you walking onto our set? And hopefully you felt welcomed and loved and appreciated, and all of
very much so. And in fact, you were the first person to welcome me on the set really warmly. You just like bounded up and you're like, hey, I'm Amanda. And that sort of set the tone. And I think you and I didn't have that much time together in the episode.
And we didn't like each other in the episode very much at all.
I know. Because
you were like assisting my boys.
That's right. Well, somebody's got to do it,
Right. Thanks. That was that awful.
Yeah, that was quite.
And did you also have to? You had to kiss Rick too, didn't you?
I think I kissed them all. I think
you did too.
Made my way through them. I think with Chris though, I only kissed his hand. I don't think I didn't get to the lips. But yeah, I loved it, and I sort of, again, it's one of those things. I was so happy to be working. I loved Vancouver. Yeah, I was so happy. It's so beautiful. Would love to work there again one day. I mean, I don't know if it would ever be possible because I'm so far away, but my God, I'd love to work there again.
Oh, I'd love to have you here. Yeah,
thank you.
You did something. I think it's really hard as a guest star to walk onto a show, especially a show that's been going and the cast is really, we were really tight, and
yeah,
it's hard to walk onto a series like that and sort of find your footing. But you you slid right in. You became a part of the team right away. I just remember feeling so comfortable around you and just like, oh yeah, great. And then you were gone. And then it was like, oh, there goes another. Another woman has left the set. Damn it.
Well, thank you very much. I certainly felt really, really comfortable with everyone, right from like the costume fitting. I remember I arrived on a Friday, and then I was only shooting on the Monday. And lovely John Lennox invited me to a party at Chris's house, and we went and had this huge party on Saturday night, and everyone was there. don't really remember getting home back to the hotel, but we did.
What happened with Chris's parties? How did I get back here?
Exactly. I've subsequently discovered that during conventions and stuff. But of course, I just had a great time, and I loved the kind of the practical joking and everybody. I was going to say messing around. That's the wrong phrase, because there was a real light atmosphere. I mean, we talked about this when you were a guest on the show. This is so weird, by the way, being the guest, and I mean, but thank you. You're doing amazingly. I'm going to have to watch my back.
No.
But yeah, I just felt it was so comfortable and easy. I didn't ever feel like, sometimes I've been on shows where you feel very much like, oh, don't talk to us, you're the guest star.
Yeah.
You know, like, or you're not one of the leads. So just, and I never felt that ever on Stargate, ever.
Good. Except for the whole not looking us in the eyes. But that, I mean, you know, that's standard.
Yeah, and making you all bow down when you greet me. But other than that, you know.
So you leave Stargate, which, I mean, the beauty of that show is we never really leave Stargate, right? You can take the girl out of Stargate, but can't take the Stargate
out. No, I
did.
They never had me back.
But we're still part of this crazy family, right? Like, you know, the like you never, which is so great. Like it's always, we're always seeing each other. We're always part of this crazy big life. So that's very cool.
Yeah.
But you physically left us for a while and you went back to LA and you were on Just Shoot Me, which is a show that I loved. And what was that like? Was it fun? You got to work with David Spade and George Segal. And I mean, it was, you know, they're both funny people. Was it amazing? Was it?
Yeah. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Say again?
Was it as cool as I think it should have been? Like that would have been a great show to be on.
Yes. And Wendy Malick is a goddess. I love her. She's like the queen of deadpan, right?
Yeah.
And it was great. And I got to play a woman who sort of is serially, like a serial killer, basically. So she's the long lost love of Elliot, who was played, oh my God, I can't think of the actor's name. Somebody help me out. I can see his face so clearly. Enzo somebody. What is it? Anyway. And in the episode, Laura San Giacomo and Wendy Malick basically runs somebody over. And then she's like, oh, I found his long lost love. And we go for dinner and he's like, oh my God, I can't believe I found you. And I was like, yes, at first I married this one and then he died. And he's like, oh, that's terrible. I was like, yes, he drowned in a mysterious accident. And then the other one shot himself accidentally in the back with a spear gun. And, you know, basically she's just working her way through her husband. That's it. Enrico Colantoni. Yes, exactly. So it was hugely fun. And again, I learned so much because on the Monday, when you do the table read, as you well know, it all changes as the week goes on. And so people are amazing. They bring sort of their energy in. David Spade was really funny. People had real quirks and great sort of like physical comedy. And of course, then it changes again on the recording day in front of the audience. So it was fantastic. I loved it.
Oh, very cool. And because like you have a flair for comedy anyway, but you did stand up, did you not? And you were also part of the South African version of Whose Line Is It Anyway, which is the incredibly stressful improv show, which is awesome.
Yes.
What was stand-up like for you?
Well, a bit like running towards a cliff and jumping and then thinking, oh dear.
Oh, no.
And then you get a laugh and it's like that net appears, you know, the old expression, leap and the net will appear. I loved it. I mean, it was the scariest, hands down, the scariest thing I've ever done. To the point that my very first show, the MC came up to me just before and he said, is there anything you want? Like, how do you want the mic when I introduce you? And my hands were shaking so much that I knew if I held the microphone, I would be like this. So I said to him, can you leave the mic in the stand? Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to hold it. I'm going to be too freaked out, and which he did. But it's a weird thing because when people laugh at your material, it's the most, oh my God, it's totally addictive.
Yeah.
But until you bomb for the first time, and then it's like, oh. But you just, it's like anything. You have to get back up on the horse and do it again and do it better.
Your first foray into it, your first big stand-up comedy act, you won the Funny Bones Award. Like you rocked it right out of the gate, little missy.
Yes.
And the bag of chips. Look at you.
Well, I mean, I think the award was basically a bottle of scotch and champagne, and some big bloke going, "Yeah, you're very funny, eh? You're very, very funny. Well done." So,
have a drink.
Exactly. I was like, "You're really funny for a girl." that kind of thing. Yeah. So it sounds.
Sorry.
Anyway.
You're dividing your time at this point. You're dividing your time between Cape Town and Los Angeles, sort of successfully circumnavigating both worlds. And then you decide to move to the UK. Why?
My husband. I was doing a terrible love. I was doing a really terrible play in South Africa, and I always say to people, the play was dreadful, but I've got a husband out of it, which was quite nice. And we would never have met. I mean, I was living in LA. He's English. He was here. But my sister-in-law is an actress and was in the play with me. And she kept talking about this handsome brother of hers and how we had to meet. And then he came out to South Africa and we had this sort of whirlwind week together. And I was like, wow, he is really quite something. But I had to go back to LA. And anyway, the next thing we were doing the long distance thing. And then he said to me, come and spend some time in the UK. I came, and then he proposed. I said yes. And suddenly found myself, in my 30s in London, starting my career again.
But you once again rocked it, because you were in a very successful run of Mamma Mia, which is a massive show. Yeah. And you were performing in the West End, which is like sort of every actor's, bucket list dream, right? I'd like to do a show in the West End. And there you were doing it. Criminy,
yeah,
lady.
I have to say, thank you. I mean, it sounds very impressive when you say it.
It is very impressive.
Mamma Mia remains forever dear to my heart. I went back last year to do the 20th anniversary show, because the show's already 20 years old here.
Wow.
Well, everywhere, I think. Yeah. And it was incredible. What a night. I mean, they brought on all the kind of old, let's not say old, ex-dynamos.
Yes, I saw that. Yes.
Yeah. And that
Super
was
cool.
incredible. So I have, Mamma Mia will always have a special place in my heart. It was an amazing, amazing show to be a part of. It's run like a military operation. They look after everyone. They, please God, theaters can open soon, is all I can say.
Yes.
Yeah. So
loved it. I don't want to run out of time because there's a couple of things I really want to ask you about. So I'm going to whip through Mamma Mia, and then you went on to Cabaret, which is an incredible show.
Yes.
As if you haven't done enough, you record a pop song with a group called Goldfish that becomes this big hit. Tell us about that.
Yes. Well, that was the weirdest thing.
And suddenly you're a pop star.
I know, right? But I'm not even in the video, because they do all this kind of, I don't even know what it's called. That's how unhip I am. Electro funk pop music. And I have known those two guys they played at our wedding. So they used to be part of a jazz quartet called Breakfast Included. And for our wedding, when people were arriving and eating, they played. So we've been mates since then. And we got together one afternoon and kind of penned the song together, and they played with it. And the next thing, released it in South Africa, and I get a phone call, and we were number one for I don't know how many weeks. And to this day, when I meet people, they're like, "That's you singing the." I mean, it's not a massively difficult sing, but how cool is that? I was like, because Goldfish are massive now. They live in LA, they tour all around the world, and they're the loveliest guys. So I'm too chuffed to have been a part of that. I have to just say, yes, jack of all trades, I'm not sure a master of any. we don't, unlike Instagram, we don't get cut off at 10. So we can dictate, but obviously it's time dependent for you, because I realize it's the afternoon for you.
No,
So,
it's all good. It's all good, because I want to go through, because you've done so much, and I really want to honor it, because you've always been so great about honoring all the work that the rest of us have done. So we talk about sci-fi for a second. Besides Stargate SG-1, that little known show, you were on Red Dwarf, which is a huge British sci-fi classic. So was that must have been amazing.
Yeah, it was really, really cool, because the show's been running, I don't know how many years now, but years and years and years. And there was a long break in between. Mm-hmm. And then they came back with all the original cast and everything. So we ended up being the first episode of that brand new season. Oh, wow. And it was a really cool storyline. It was sort of set in a kind of prohibition time. But instead of liquor being the thing that was prohibited, it was science. So the people would go to like bars to do science, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was lots of fun to do, and very different to kind of working on an American show, in the sense they're technically the same, obviously, but different rhythms. But again, great, because those guys have been together for so many years. They're like a well-oiled machine. They know each other really well. They know exactly, you know, like you guys on Stargate, there was a real kind of chemistry. There's a natural, genuine friendship, and that just radiates through. So yeah, it was great. It's fun.
Yeah, fun. Now, you and I met at a convention in, I think it was Germany. Was it Germany that we?
Yes.
And we had a lovely evening of wine and chat in my room. And you told me this incredible story about this South African woman, Alison, who was brutally raped and attacked, and her throat was slit, and she was left for dead. And she crawled her way to the highway and got found and survived this brutal attack. And telling me the story, it was like heartbreaking. And I've never forgotten the story. But you were going to South Africa to perform a play based on that story, and I know that at the time you were saying, I'm so terrified, because this is such a crazy, huge story. And how is that experience? How is it received? How every night do you do something that raw? Like, it must have been exhausting.
It was unbelievably exhausting. We did it for 3 months, and when I got back here, I was so sick. And I went to see somebody, and she said to me, she said, your throat and your stomach, and those are the two places where she was stabbed repeatedly, here and here. So it was an extraordinary experience to do. Really challenging, because she is still very much alive, was part of it, and came to see the show and was involved.
She saw it. So yes, she did.
Yes. But, you know, her story is so remarkable. I really urge anyone, if you want to read a book about overcoming unbelievable things and like the miracles that can happen, even in the darkest things. Her book is called I Have Life. Her name is Alison Buerter. The play was called I Have Life. And basically, she was left for dead. And miraculously, they didn't hit her carotid artery. They didn't hit her vocal cords. And she was able to get up and, as you said, get to the road. And so it was a very difficult thing to do. And also how to do such a violent stabbing and rape on stage when people are like this close. And the director, who's an amazing director, felt very strongly that we shouldn't. She said, I don't want you to be naked. I think we're going to do it almost symbolically. And then I was like, I don't know, because that doesn't always work. But equally, I don't really want to be stabbed to death every night. And like, also, blood on stage and cars on stage, for me, never really work. You know, you bring on half a car and I'm like, oh, we're in a musical. It's Grease.
Right.
So much of this story takes place in a car and in her head, where when they're driving her, she's thinking, God, can I get out? Can I run? Twice they pull up next to police vans, and she thought, shall I get out and run? And I was like, how do we do that without me speaking? How do I convey that? And we came up, actually got goosebumps talking about her. We came up with a really clever device that sounds absolutely naff now, but basically there were 5 people in the cast. Everyone played multiple parts except me. And they become her thoughts. So I would start a sentence and they finish it. And it really works because people forget, and it became very clear when I'm thinking and when she's speaking.
Right.
And I've never, ever, in all the shows I've ever done, had a reaction like that. Every single night, people would be weeping. You know, when she wakes up, because of course, when they stab her, and we did the whole thing kind of in slow motion. It was just done like to very loud music, and so you can see what's happening.
Yeah.
And then there was like blackout, and then the lights come up, and people were like, "Oh my God, is she dead? What's happened?" And she makes the sound, and every single night, people would be like, "Oh!" So unbelievable that, I mean, look at this. I'm absolutely.
Yeah, no, I am too. too. It's what she did
then
too. I mean, she pulled
Oh my God.
held her body together. She put her innards back into her body, and I don't know how. So every night,
every night, it was really hard, but it was so worth it, because at the end we decided to end the play kind of in the present day with her, because she now goes around the world and speaks to fellow rape victims. She's a motivational speaker. She's remarkable. And so we would end the play as if it was in one of her talks. And in our preview week and opening night week, she came to see the show. And so when we got to the end and we went, "Ladies and gentlemen, Alison Buerter," the audience just went absolutely nuts. And she said to me one night, because we went out for dinner afterwards, and I said, "Is it bizarre watching this?" And she said to me, "Do you know, I was so frightened because I've shut it out of my life. You know, I address that it's happened, but I don't like to go back there." And she said, "But it occurred to me watching you as me, how brave this woman was. Like she said, I was able to kind of divorce myself and think, how brave was this woman, that she just, you know, she wrote the name of her attackers in the sand in case she died. When she got to the hospital and the police, because they had a suspicion who it was, and the detective went to her and said, 'You must arrest,' and everything. And they thought she couldn't speak. And she went, 'No, I know who they are.' And everyone was like, 'What? You can talk?' And she's like, 'I can talk and I can tell you who they are.' And of course, they then went round to the house to get these two guys who were convinced she was dead, arrested them under another charge, and then separated them, and then confronted them and said, 'We know what's happened. She survived.' And at first they were like, oh, rubbish, she couldn't survive. And then they just both folded like a deck of cards.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was an absolute highlight, but really hard to do. Hard to live there every night.
Wow.
There you go. Somebody's put up the title. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think it's Catherine. Thank you.
Now, a very not subtle segue from this horrific story for 3 months that you portrayed bravely. You then go on to do a lovely Hallmark movie called Winter Prince. And
exactly.
Which I think is so cathartic and lovely and refreshing after digging so deep into the depths of that kind of despair to come out onto that. Like
exactly,
I would imagine. But
yeah.
And princes and princesses have become a big part of your life. You voiced a Disney queen in The Last Warrior. You know, you've actually had this incredibly light and beautiful life beyond. Which I think is as it should be. What was that like? I mean, not only just to go from something so dark to something so light, but then, I mean, it was a huge hit, right? A Winter Prince was very, very well loved. And there you are in the middle of that suddenly.
I mean, yes, I literally blink and you miss me, I think. I play the Merritt Weaver's mum in that. But it was fantastic because we shot in Romania, and really lovely American director, great team. And, you know, Hallmark is, again, something that's come up a lot on this show. Yeah. Lots of people, Dan Payne, and obviously Terrell's worked for them a lot. And they're an incredible company because they do these lovely stories. And yes, a little bit formulaic, but you know what? Right now, we all just need a little, it's like a warm hug, you know? Absolutely. And it was just great. It was so nice to play a mom who was kind of, you know, loved her daughter. She was American, so it was so removed from Alison in a completely different country. It was great. A great way to shed that skin.
Well, And I think also too, I may have misspoke, because I was also thinking of the other movie that you did, which was the Princess Switch with Vanessa Hudgens, and that that was huge.
Yes, that's been extraordinary. And I play her sort of, I don't know what the word is. I suppose she's her lady in waiting, or like right-hand woman, the sort of, you know, slightly Mary Poppins-esque Mrs. Donatelli, who is not Italian, but never mind. But that's been fantastic, and again, amazing people, and lovely Mike Roll. Do you know Mike? I think lots of people on this show have worked with Mike.
Yeah.
Super director. We shot the first one in Romania, and there is a sequel coming out very soon, I believe. Coming out, I think, on the 19th of November, which we shot in Scotland.
Nice, nice.
So, yeah.
What else can we talk about? Oh, you did The Last Warrior, which is a Russian film.
Yes. Yes, so I don't know how to say the title, but that was an amazing thing that I did at Pinewood. I did the English dub. So it was a massive hit for Disney in Russia. And the character is the evil queen, Varvara, who is the most beautiful actress. So it was like a real honor to voice this character, but she's really evil. And the biggest challenge of that was the lines were they were quite physical lines, like, no, don't go, or stop him quickly. And her energy was exactly the opposite. She was very still in everything she did.
Oh, wow.
And almost, she sort of looked like she was moving in slow motion. And I found that really difficult, because you have to try and match the shape of the mouth, which is also hard, because Russian has like, there's all these sounds that are very different to like, wait there, because I was playing as well. So that was all weird, but fascinating. I don't know where it is. I've never seen the English version, but I did do it.
You did it, and you've done a lot of voice work, have you not? You've done.
I have, yeah. That's it. How do you say that? That's the name. Pozlinia Bogatar. I did learn that Bogatar is like warrior, so I don't think it translates exactly, but yeah, Pozlinia Bogatar. Sorry, everyone, for butchering the beautiful language. Oh dear.
Do you do other animation work as a voice actress?
Yes, I have. I weirdly, very, very early on in my career, I was a kind of background voice on The Simpsons, like before they became an epic hit. And that was fascinating. And I would love to do more animation. I do lots of commercials for sort of like Apple type thing, technical gadgets. And New York Times. I don't know. I sort of, lots of things where it's like, tune in tomorrow at 5 o'clock for the news. The kind of soothing American voice that I don't know, like a clock that talks. Something like that.
Listen to you all day.
Yeah, well, thank you.
You should do bedtime stories, or that Calm app, where they read books. That would
yes. I'd love that.
We're almost to date, but we have a few more things.
Amazing.
2019, your return to the small screen. Thank you. In the BBC series Summer of Rockets, and you played a boarding house matron, I guess, or
yes, probably my least glamorous role. She was a proper, like, Suanne, come here. But an amazing director, Stephen Polyakov, who is such an extraordinary director. He only works, I think, like once every 4 or 5 years, because he writes all his own stuff. Amazing cast. And, God, I was so delighted. I was like, I've wanted to work for the BBC for years. I was like, I've finally got my BBC credit. So that was great. I mean, again, I'm like hardly in it. I waft around in the background a lot, looking terribly disapproving. And there was actually originally much more. I had a fantastic scene with the little boy who plays the lead. I had a great scene with Keeley Hawes. I had a great scene with Toby Stevens. All cut, because he also cuts all his own stuff. And he's mercenary, apparently. He always shoots way, way more than they need. So, and that's fine. it's, it is what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah. But
Yeah.
then you get to, beyond that, you fulfilled a bucket list wish by performing your first solo show called Sailing Somewhere.
Yeah.
And how was that? Can you tell us about that?
That was, actually, I think that was probably scarier than stand-up, because
Really?
the playwright is my very, very talented friend, Matthew Hurt, who I've worked with on other times and other projects. Really talented writer. And it was difficult subject matter. So it's a story of a woman who is a cabaret singer at sea on a boat, obviously on a boat, on a ship. And as the play begins, she's quite brittle, and we can't really work out why. And then there were sort of 6 original songs written for it, all quite tricky songs, not like rah, rah, rah show tunes, all quite difficult songs to sing. And she kind of begins to tell her story to the audience. And then right at the end, there's this whopping bombshell, like a really kind of emotional punch you in the gut. And then it's the end. So, and what was weird is we didn't do it in a theater. We did it in a fantastic venue here called Zedell's, which is like the most beautiful 1930s Art Deco venue. So it looked like a ship.
Wow. Yeah.
And in the start of the play, I wore this black wig and this beautiful sequined dress. And each kind of section of the play, she gets more and more ropey and more like the wig comes off, the eyelashes come off. She drinks throughout the play. And then in the end, we find out that she's run away, basically, because she's witnessed her child being abused and didn't do anything, didn't know what to do. So she left. So, yeah, so what was really interesting is that the venue is quite known for, we're doing a show tune cabaret, and the show starts like that. And then
by the end, people are like, wait a second.
Yes, literally, there would be people sitting in the front row, and it's like dinner theaters, so they're close. Yeah. And there would be people sitting there going, horrified.
We came here to celebrate our anniversary. What are you doing?
Exactly. But the show had an amazing response. It was a very short run because it was like a trial, but it had an amazing response. And the venue said that afterwards they received letters saying, I would never have come to see something like this. This is so fantastic that you're doing stuff like this here. And it was amazing. So it was brilliant.
It coming back again? Oh, Sandra Rankin.
Oh, thank you, Sandra. That's really nice. Thank you. Yes, there are rumblings afoot. Let's see. Who knows? We might be stuck like this for the next 2 years. Who knows? I don't know.
Wow. Well, here we go. This is your career. You've been a pop star. You've been a stand-up comedian. You've done incredible stage work, including I Have Life. You've been a dancing queen. You've been an Egyptian goddess. You've been a TV show host, a robot with human tendencies, a Nazi prostitute. You have done everything, really, quite remarkably, and always very well. So here's my last question. Well, it's kind of twofold. What would you love to do next? And is there any chance of a season 2 of Hathor Hosts? Because it's quite fun.
Well, the first part, what would I like to do next? I'd actually love to do a sci-fi series. And I would love to do something where I get a chance to be in a TV show for more than like 3 or 4 episodes. Yeah. So to create a character and actually have a growth. Mm-hmm. So like, it can be recurring or whatever, but actually be in it long enough that it's not just in and out, and that we get to know the character. That is my absolute bucket list dream job right now. And I don't mind what the show is. I believe the right show will come. Yep. When the time is right. That's always sort of been my motto throughout my career, and it's kind of worked. And as for a second season of Hathor Hosts, yes, there is going to be.
Yay!
Yes, due to overwhelming demand. Thank you. I'm delighted to say But we will be back. I've got some fantastic people lined up. Very exciting. So stay tuned. Keep watching my Instagram and my Twitter. I am going to take a break, though, for a while, because it's been 6 months of every Tuesday or every week.
Yeah.
And I'm off tomorrow morning to film something. So I'll be gone for a week. And I'm going to have a little rest. And then just sort of see. So it won't be as long. I don't think it'll be as quite a long season. It might just be 10 episodes. Or something like that, but definitely we'll be back hopefully before the end of the year, if not early January.
Yay!
Well, I have to say, you are phenomenal, Ms. Tapping. Talk about do it all.
Well, you've had such an incredibly storied career. I hope we touched on a lot of it, but I know there's so much more, but it's so impressive. Holy moly.
That was pretty much everything. So thank you very much. Now we have tons of people wrote in, tons. We're never going to get through all the questions because there are about 100 questions.
Oh my gosh.
Dive on in because we are already running over. So let's see if we can just do as many questions as we can. Bear with me while I open the document.
Bear with me while I try to find my computer charger cord because I didn't plug in my computer and I might run out of power. That would be so tragic.
Okay. Now, how do I make this bigger so that I can actually see it? There we go. Right. Bear with me, everyone. Right. Question number 1. And they're questions for both of us. So first one is... for Suanne, firstly, thank you so much for Hathor Hosts. Thank you all for watching. It's been a bright spot in an otherwise not great year. I was wondering what inspired you to start the show to get it going. What inspired me? I basically, when the kind of reality of lockdown and us being in this situation forever, it seems, I thought, and then event after event was cancelled, and I just thought, there has to be something we can do. And I watched a really poor, very bad Instagram live where the host was so terrible. And I went to bed that night and I woke up at about 3 a.m. I thought, oh, I know what I could do. I could host a show. I didn't really think about it too much. I was like, I'll call it Hathor Hosts. And I was quite sort of ballsy and wrote to everybody. And I was like, do you want to be on my show? It's going to be this. It's going to be that. It's going to be like Graham Norton. And I didn't think everyone would say yes. And then, well, a few have said no, but most of them, yes.
They did.
And then, yeah, that was that. So thank you guys for watching and making it the show that it's become. Amanda, you played many different or alternate versions of Samantha Carter on SG1. I was wondering which was your favorite to play.
Well, the original, but
yeah.
I loved Replica Carter just because she was so different and still.
Yeah.
I think my favorite was Super Dorky Carter when, we weren't part of the Stargate program and Daniel and I go to visit O'Neill on his boat and we're both like super spazzy and dorky and I loved her. I loved her so much. It was just so much fun. She was just...
Is that because she's so the opposite of what you are? Because like that's that's not you. So
no, maybe it's because she is a lot like me. She's really goofy and a little awkward, and we just leaned into the comedy, and it was just so fun to play something so out there comedy with that character. It was fun.
Yeah, fabulous. I love that. Right, so if Hathor was to return after being thought dead and you had the option to write how she would return, how would you have her return to punish SG1? That's really interesting. I haven't really thought about that, but I have thought quite a lot of people ask me about her backstory and if I'd thought about a backstory for her and an interesting, and yes, I've had many ideas. And particularly how as an Egyptian she ended up in a Mayan temple. But I would love to do, if the series was ever to be reborn, rebirthed. You don't happen to know anything about that, do you?
No.
Putting you on the spot. No. Her lips are sealed. She can say nothing.
I'm not allowed to say anything. There really isn't anything to say just yet, but I know that there's massive rumblings. You might feel the earth move a little bit sometimes, but yeah, that's what that.
How exciting.
Yeah, we shall see. I think it could be very cool.
Yeah. But yeah, if I was lucky enough to be asked back, frankly, I would do whatever they told me to do. I don't really care. It would just be so nice to come back now, kind of like years later in a new inception or version of Hathor.
Yeah.
In an interview with Cliff, we learned that you had the honor of meeting Nelson Mandela. Are there any other historically important personalities you have met? If so, what impact did they have meeting on you? Gosh, historically important personalities. Well, I met the Queen. That was quite cool. I was invited to Buckingham Palace. Yeah. This was a bizarre story. So when I applied for my British passport, obviously you have to do a test and everything. And then I got all that. And then I got this thing in the post saying, you're invited to Buckingham Palace to come and meet the Queen. And I said to my husband, oh, does everyone get this when they do the citizenship test? And he was like, no. And it was only for me. Like, there was no invite. Like, I had to go alone. There was this press packet about how we have to address her. You can never walk out of the room first. You have to sort of, back out that way. It's ma'am as in jam, not mom as in arm. I still have no idea why I was invited, but it had something to do with people who excelled in their careers from the Commonwealth countries. And so it was me, Anthony Sher, and Dame Janet Sussman. We were the only actors.
Wow.
How bizarre is that? So yeah, that was amazing. It was an extraordinary night. And I got a picture in the news. I should probably not say that because they're probably monitoring this and I'll be arrested. I did take a picture.
She was probably a big Stargate fan. That's probably why. I think the Queen is quite a sci-fi fan.
Apparently she's a big Mamma Mia fan. So I wondered if it had something to do with that. Yeah. Oh. She is the dancing queen. Okay, right. We've got to move on. We've got so many to get through. There is a lot of stigma surrounding science fiction and science fiction fans. I was wondering how you guys could define or describe what science fiction means to you. I'm going to let you answer this one, Amanda, because you've been much more active in science fiction, I think, than I have.
I think first of all, what it means to me from a storytelling perspective is that it's just so ripe. There's so many ways to tell stories in science fiction. And it's such an allegory for what's going on in our world politically or socially or socioeconomically or racially. There's so many things that sci-fi sort of plucks out of the headlines and deals with in a not so in your face kind of way, but is telling the same story as what you're seeing on the news. So I love that it's very topical and that you can be topical and political. So I love that side of the storytelling. And I think because of that, it connects a really interesting group of people. I think that sci-fi fans, and I've said this before, are incredibly well connected. They're incredibly generous and they're incredibly gracious people. And I think it's because they tap into that same ideology that sci-fi taps into, which is one of acceptance. And so my experience, because I was able to be on a long-running sci-fi series and then travel the world and meet people, has been so remarkable in that I've been able to see firsthand the kind of generosity and graciousness that sci-fi fans have. And so I'm hugely grateful to sci-fi for that opportunity, but also just because I think that it tells those kind of stories that connects people. So
yeah, absolutely agree with all of that. And I think also it celebrates, as you said, acceptance and the fact that so often it's about people feel like they might be on the outside. A lot of people wrote to me talking about, particularly people who follow your career very avidly, how much you helped them through many dark times or difficult times. The character, both Sam Carter and you. And again, like this show, that people have wrote the most amazing things to me saying what it's done. And a lot of that is because I think we've been able to celebrate this fantastic fandom and the world of science fiction. And so I say science fiction rocks.
Absolutely. And I don't think there's another genre that quite touches in the way that sci-fi does. There's people who watch soap operas, and there's people, there's different fandoms, but I think the sci-fi fandom is far more accepting and far more out there and weird in a wonderful way. Like I think that it's a much broader, I like to use the word grace. It's one of my favorite words, but it's a much more gracious fan base than anything I've ever seen.
Yeah, beautifully put. Beautifully put. If Hathor and Carter sang a duet, what would it be? Sisters, sisters.
Tito and I, Terrell and I used to sing that on set.
Oh,
that is so funny that of all the songs in all the land, you pick that one, because that's what Terrell and I used to sing on set. Yeah,
that is really weird.
That is super weird.
Yes, we heard all about Minnie and Turleen, and we think that you. We want you to revive it. We'd like to see a revival of the show. Maybe have your own internet show. You could be a sensation.
We could be a sensation. We could talk to people a lot about how to do hair and nails. And you know what? I think, Suanne Braun, you should be part of it. I think that we should do a Turleen, Minnie, and Susie show.
Oh, I'd like that so much. I would love that. Y'all, if you're going to be kind enough to have me, I know nothing about hair, but I could learn.
You've got lovely hair, though. You've got great hair. I mean, for somebody who does hair, I don't have such great hair. You've got a fine head on you, lovely.
Oh, well, thank you. Now, I'm just going to move on down the line with the questions. So now let's see. If Hathor and Carter were ever got stuck in a lift, what would they talk about? What wouldn't we talk about?
Yeah, exactly. Two strong women. We'd have tons to do. We could unpack everything. We could solve the world's problems, probably.
Would we talk, though? I wonder if we were Hathor and Carter, would we be a bit like checking each other out?
For the first 35 seconds. And then I think we'd start talking.
Yeah, I think so. What was it like working with Amanda Tapping? Fantastic.
She is such a pain in the ass.
Yeah, she was such a nightmare. No, clearly we have a lovely time together. And again, I have to just say, like, seriously, tonight, this idea was sort of born on Twitter of you hosting the final show, and we reverse it. And you were incredibly successful and busy and amazing. And I didn't think that I cannot thank you enough for your gracious time. And it really, like, something that was born 6 months ago. And I emailed you going, would you still be okay to do it? You're like, yeah, I'm in. Let's do it. And so I love that about you. Thank you. You're an absolute star.
No, Suanne, you're lovely, and I would do anything for you. So anytime.
You heard it here first, folks. Anything.
Anything.
Okay, we have a sanctuary-related question. In season 1, Helen's mother's maiden name was originally Patricia Heathering. In the season 4 finale, this was changed to Patricia Bancroft, as Helen used to use the name Bancroft when she went back in time for 113 years. Was there a reason behind this difference, or was it an accidental oversight by the scriptwriters?
I wonder if it was a clearance issue, because in order to say names on television, you have to have them cleared. And so we may have had to change her name for clearance purposes. Like, it may have been okay at one time, and then suddenly they're like, you can't use that name again. You have to change it.
Right.
That's the only thing I can think of. I would have done that. Yeah.
Another question from Sanctuary. It says, back in June 2020, you mentioned, Amanda, that you found your collection of Stargate and Sanctuary scripts that were hidden away in your garage, and you weren't sure what to do with them, but that was just too much stuff in boxes to continue to hold on to. Are you still considering getting rid of them? I was wondering if your offer for fans to possibly buy them was still on the table. If so, I would like to buy your entire Sanctuary collection, giving you back some open storage space. Melissa Stout.
Melissa. Wow. Yeah, no, I still have them. And I still have them, and I have to go through all the Sanctuary ones. I know I have all the Stargate ones. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'd love to. There's a group aware of that does celebrity auctions online, and they sell anything. Jewel State was telling me about it because she's selling some signed Atlantis photos for charity. So that's something that I'll look into. But ping me and let me know, Melissa, and I'll go through my boxes and find them.
Excellent. Yes.
Hey,
Amanda.
Sorry, I'm sitting on my bed. I've got 8% power left. So keep talking,
right.
And I'm going to try to reach the plug.
Okay, I'll tell you what, I'll try and find a question for me. So that gives you, here we go. Suanne, you have spoken a lot about Hathor coming back. Animation is a great medium for that because you can get a character at any age. Ain't that the truth? And there are no limits to what can be portrayed. Would there be any interest for bringing the characters back in animation, as many comic companies do? It's also a pandemic-resistant medium. Yeah, from my end, I'd be in like Flynn. I mean, I know that Big Finish, which is a big audio company here in the UK, mostly do Doctor Who stuff, but they did a whole series of Stargate things, I think, with a lot of the original actors. So, yes, I would absolutely, if it were up to me, I'm in like Flynn. Anything to do with Stargate, I'd be in. If you had power over men like Hathor, what would you make them do? Gosh, so many things. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd make them have menstrual cramps and then see how they do. That's what I'd do.
Yeah.
So terrible.
Menstrual cramps, and then I'd also make them incapable of, like, that immediately when we're going somewhere, to look up how to get there. Not to think they know how to get there, but to actually look up how to get there. And be okay when they go, oh no, I got that wrong, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's what I'd make them do. I'd make men say, oh, I'm sorry, I got that wrong. It sounds so nasty. There's a lot of wonderful men in the world, so please don't.
No, exactly.
She girl
club. Exactly. Amanda, have you ever had a Stargate related dream? Has that work ever crept in while you were asleep? I'm sure.
Yeah, a lot, actually. Yeah, a lot. And usually it's like the frustrating Stargate dream where I'm trying to get somewhere and there's things that get in the way. Like I need to get to the gate and get through it before it shuts down, but then suddenly there's all these obstacles and I can't make it. The iris closes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you have dreams like now before you're directing a project? Do you ever have kind of anxiety, not anxiety, but like those nervous dreams? Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, we can call them anxiety. It's absolutely, I do. And again, it's that frustration thing, or walking onto set and looking at the set and going, I don't even know what the script is. I don't know what I'm shooting today.
Yes.
No idea. Yeah. Like an actor's nightmare, very similar to an actor's nightmare where you step out onto stage and go,
yes.
I don't even know what play I'm in. Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it? And for me, it gets worse as I get older.
Yeah.
Like I didn't get so freaked out by it when I was younger. Now, I dreamt the other night, funny enough, that I was in Nonsense. How weird. And that I had to do the dance. And I remember thinking, oh my God, but I'm ancient. I'm like, how will I do it? I can't even touch my toes anymore, practically. Like, I don't remember it. I remember but one bit. I wonder what the words. I don't remember the words of the song. Total panic. Woke up like, anyway, moving on.
And I've been reminded, maybe I just didn't want to bring this up, but I have dreamt about Sam and Jack before.
Oh, yeah, do tell.
That's all I'm saying. Just suffice to say, I called him sir.
Oh, yes.
Hi, Jack.
I love that. Yes, I love that. They have to have ended up together. That's like,
we're all super hot in here all of a sudden. What?
Right, I'm going to only do a few more because I realize how long we've kept Amanda and all of you. Thank you so much for watching. And there's so many questions I can't. Amanda, here's one for you. Positive vibes always on Twitter is wondering what's the best advice you can give to people who struggle with anxiety. That's a hard one.
That is a hard one. That you'll get through it. I mean, yeah, those anxious moments. And I know a lot of people who suffer from real anxiety, and it can be quite debilitating. and it really is just a matter of sort of lifting yourself out of the situation for a second and taking a deep breath. And it's simple, and I hope it doesn't sound trite, but it really is about, you know, and believing that you can get through it. I mean, I get anxious before I walk onto a new show. I get anxious before I walk into a production office where I don't know people. I sit in my car and sort of, I have to deep breathe and get myself in, and I act. I pretend I'm somebody else when I walk in the door. You know, I'm like super confident, Amanda. When I walk in, hi, everybody. Hi, I'm Amanda. I'm your new director. You know, but it is a little bit of putting on an act and then once I've gotten through that, then the act isn't an act anymore. Then I can just sort of settle into it.
Yeah, I think that's excellent advice. And always, you know, deep breaths and act it, pretend, imagine what that feels like when you are well and when you are kind of like feeling confident, and try and channel that. Not so easy to do, I know, but it is doable. So here is one for you, Amanda, and well, one for us both. What are our upcoming work projects?
Upcoming work projects. I'm working on my hair. Here's what's happening. I know this is so stupid, but here's what's happening with my hair. Is my image is backwards. So I don't know, when I try to do it, my hair's on the
other.
And so I know.
Do you know, it took me about 5 shows to work that out.
This doesn't stay on the internet forever, does it?
Yeah. Oh God, it's too funny.
Oh, for God's sake. Okay. Anyway, what am I doing here? I'll do this. What am I doing now? I just have to hide the hair. Well, I'm on Motherland until April. That's what I'm doing. I'm producing director, which is such a weird position. It's fairly new.
She can't look at her.
It's a fairly, I think it's this way. Yeah, there we go. It's a fairly new position. And it means that I hire all the directors and I work with the cast and I help produce the show sort of on the floor. And that's what I'm doing. It's new and scary, super scary.
Oh, you're going to be amazing, amazing, amazing. I know that they are in great hands, actually. And so you start on Tuesday, right? Fingers crossed.
Well, yeah, we've prepped since August 10th, and we're supposed to go to camera Tuesday. What's happening in Vancouver right now is a little backlog. The COVID tests coming back. So we get tested twice a week in Zone A for COVID, and there's a backlog. And so I don't know if we'll be able to go to camera Tuesday if we don't have our test results back.
Oh God, well, keeping everything crossed. Everything crossed. That leads me wonderfully into the next question. I'm going to do 2 more questions because I'm afraid, I'm so sorry, guys. As always, we've run out of time. We need like a separate show just for the questions. So the next question is, when are you, when are Suanne, Amanda, and Jacqueline going to do a project together? Jacqueline Samuda. When?
She's so awesome. Yeah. We just need to get you out to Vancouver, or we need to come to England. We need the borders to open.
I'll come there.
Okay.
I love Vancouver. I would love that. We should brainstorm because I know we've done this once before, actually. The 3 of us did sit and we all got very excited. We're like, we're going to write something fantastic. And then, just because we all, exactly, life, children, different continents, tricky. How have you managed during the COVIDicus? Have you done your makeup every day? Makeup?
No, I can barely out of day. Look, you look fantastic, but
well, only because it's the last show. But some days, I mean, I've been in sweatpants for 6 months, not the same pair. I haven't worn a bra in 6 months, and some days I don't even brush my hair. I just like stick it up in a bun, and I'm good to go. So I don't know what I've gone feral. I don't know what I'm going to do when I have to go back to real life.
I know when I had to walk into the office, I was like, pants, huh?
Yeah.
Weird. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Pants with a zip.
I baked a lot and cooked a lot during COVID. So it was like, pants! Ow!
It's like, I don't remember the Spanx being this tight.
Oh, my pants have shrunk.
And also I hate Spanx because basically They always show you the advert of Spanx on women who are tiny, right? What they don't tell you is that the fat, you squash the fat in. Yes, that's all fine, but it's got to go somewhere. So you either end up with a Wagnerian chest or knees like baseballs because it's got to go somewhere. This they don't put in the advert. So I'm just telling you.
We should do the ad. No. Oh
Dear.
I did a lot of organizing during COVID. Did you? Like the first part of it, because it was so surreal. I was like organizing my closets and doing all of that, and a lot of walking in the woods. I hugged the trees, but
we well, because we have a business together, you know, we have our bakery. That was really terrifying because the bakery had to close for a while, and initially it was also weird because our staff were kind of saying, "Oh my God, is it safe?" And this is the one time you can't kind of go, "Yeah, it's safe, it's fine, we'll all be fine," because we didn't know. So that was absolutely terrifying.
You're open
hopefully,
now, right?
Yeah, we've been open for a while. We've had to, every week we have to like adapt and fix things. So one of the biggest challenges is the actual bakery section of the shop, because we bake on site.
Right.
Is very narrow because it's an old shop. It's an old restoration company, a furniture company. So the kitchen is very narrow. So for a long time, we couldn't have two bakers standing.
Uh-oh, we seem to have lost Suanne. What happened? And now I'm by myself with my bad hair. Oh, here we go. I'm chatting with the powers that be because I can't see the questions. AB Drew, you can send me some questions in the chat. And in the meantime, you guys can all admire my really fabulous hair. Drew, send me questions. Can you see the questions? I can't see the questions. And nobody can chat. We'll get her back. They're getting her back. We lost her. Oh no, she's going to be so embarrassed. She's going to be mortified. So when she comes back on, we should all be laughing hysterically at her. She can't see that, but okay, just a sec. My hair's fabulous. Thank you. Puff and ruffle. Yes, puff and ruffle. I could talk about oh God, people, what the hell is happening? I'm just going to amuse you with my hair. Oh, the beautiful print behind me. That's a painting of mine. It's an experiment that I did. This way. It's an experiment I did with resin pours. I'd never done resin pours before. And so I experimented with different colors and different textures and did this weird little painting that sort of sits above my bed. And anyway, you know, when you're bored. What would Jack and Sam's song be? To Sir with Love, right? Kind of perfect. Where would you like the Stargate to go, Amanda? Right now, Tahiti. I would like to go somewhere really remote and warm, and I'd like to swim in a warm ocean as opposed to the cold one that's outside my window. Where would you guys like to go? I think I can see comments pop up. Where would the Stargate go? You know, it would be so great if we could travel by Stargate around the world and avoid airports altogether. When is my next gig in front of the camera? I don't know. For now, I'm working, like I said, till March, April on Motherland. Maybe I'll throw myself in a small role on Motherland. But I don't know. I do actually miss it. Somebody asked me yesterday about it. Okay. Toe socks, yay or nay? Nay. Nay, can't do the toe socks. No, can't do it. It feels weird. It's like those toe shoes. Have you guys seen those rubber shoes with the toes built right into them? It's like for running, as if you're running barefoot, but then you don't hurt yourself. Yeah, so weird. Can't do it. Feels like awkward. Okay, here I've got, what advice would you give to an IT coder at the age of 35 that wants to change and be an actor mainly in sci-fi genre? Are we talking about anyone in particular, Catherine? Take classes, take acting classes. It's never too late. It is absolutely never too late. We need a myriad of people in this industry, and I don't think it's ever too late to study and learn. Take acting classes, read scripts, get together with friends and read scripts, which is what I used to do in Toronto when I was starting out as an actor. After I left theater school, we had a group that just got together and read scripts together and There's Suanne. Yay. Oh, I was trying to hold it together, sweetheart. I don't know how you do it. It was so stressful. Look at my hair.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry. I don't know what the hell happened. My computer just suddenly went, I'm not playing ball, I'm done.
Done.
And that was that. So I'm on my phone, which is a whole new experience because I can barely see. But we're almost done anyway. So thank you so much for holding down the fort. How bizarre.
I could not hold it together as well as you could. Honest to gosh, I tried.
Well, I can't thank you enough. Yes, they're saying you did beautifully, and I'm sure that's absolutely true. Well, on that note, before my phone crashes, I think it's because it's starting to storm here, and I wonder if maybe the rain has had something to do with it. But basically, I just wanted to take the opportunity to say, yet again, an enormous, enormous thank you to you for tonight, for stepping in, helping me, getting it together, being a phenomenal interviewer and pal. And I so appreciate you and what you've done. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure, my love. I love you.
I love you too. And guys, this is the final Hathor host. So I just wanted to say thank you so, so, so much for watching the show, tuning in every week, supporting it. As I said, your artwork, the music, the posters, you know, Dana, your beautiful posters every week. Oh, I'm going to start. Donna, so many people, Nat, Delphine, please forgive me because I know I'm going to leave people out. To my incredible producer, Drew, who just now was so calm when this happened. Drew, you're an absolute legend. Thank you so much for this. To Catherine for running the YouTube site so brilliantly, for always being so gung-ho and stepping in and helping. But above all, to you guys, the fandom who've just kept the show alive and welcomed it. And I thank you so much. I wish you a beautiful evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you may be. I can't wait for season 2. I can't wait for you guys to find out who's in the show. And I will see you all very, very soon. Lots of love. Have a wonderful time. And thank you. Good night.